Oh, beautiful. What is it for you? Morning still?
Yeah, we are at 8:30 in the morning.
Ah, fantastic. I'm already post lunch. It's a beautiful day outside.
That's cool. Well, I love the future, so I love having European calls.
Fair enough. I can tell you everything seems okay.
I like it. I like it. That's why I like the future so much. Hey man, it's great to meet you. And I would love to begin our conversation before we get into your life and the good work that you're doing with coaching by asking you 4 years ago, we were trying to figure out how long this pandemic was going to last, how it was going to affect us. And I'm curious how you got through that time period and how it subsequently changed you in the way that you live your life.
This is off record.
It can be.
How did I? Well, I survived it. That's a good question. I did a lot of comic books. I got back to the comic books. That was great. But to be honest, after the first year of the pandemic, I had my biggest burnout.
Yeah.
So let's put it like that. And during that burnout, I had to rethink my life. I had to rethink what I'm doing with my work. Where is my life heading? And what got me through it was my partner, was my friends, my family, a lot of cooking, a lot of cooking, and I also put some extra pounds like everybody else, but they never went away. And I got in touch again with my love for comic books, which is something that has stopped for almost 15 years. And then suddenly I went from zero to a collection of 110 just in Berlin.
Awesome. Well, we had to have our coping mechanisms. That was the bottom line with all of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So let's get to the heart and soul of exactly what you do on a daily basis here in 2024. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third grade students. It's career day. And one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
Well, I will ask him or her or they, do you know when people ask you what do you want to do in your life when you are grown up? And probably yes. So I help people understanding what they want to do because maybe today you want to be a fireman or a princess or I don't know, comic book artist, but maybe in 10 years you might want to be something different, but you don't know exactly what or where to or how to go to. So I'm here to help you understand what to do next.
So, what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
I wanted something to do with arts, to draw. I was obsessed with comics and cartoons. I grew up with Looney Tunes and all the classics, so I was really like into drawing. I never had this kind of thing of the profession, I want to be this or that, but definitely I wanted to express myself. And later on, one of the major selection criteria was like, I just want a job that allows me to dress how I want.
Yeah, right. I get it. I totally get it. So take me back to where you were born and raised and how these roots and these seeds of being a coach and helping people find their passion and dreams. How did this develop into who you are today?
Connected to my home? I don't know. Yeah, maybe there is a lot of connections, but I grew up in a small town in Portugal. It's the highest, in the highest place in Portugal. So this is the only place where you can ski and snowboard. We are not just only a beach country, just for reference, if you ever decide to come to see our beautiful mountains.
Yeah.
And yeah, I grew up with a beautiful childhood, also in the street, but I also grew up with a family business or businesses. And I grew up between three kitchens, right? My two grandmothers and the kitchen that my family was also running in a hotel. So I think with this living in the kitchen, there's a lot of storytelling. There's a lot of people pouring their heart out and processing a lot of things. Even if you are just on the sidelines, kind of listening, there's
Yeah.
especially in countries like Portugal, right? A lot of this is processed in the kitchen. Um, and with the family business was maybe I was always very in an environment where people were making their own money, creating their own businesses, not in a very entrepreneurial way like we see it nowadays, like honest family businesses, which was something that I never wanted to do. So it's very surprising that I ended up building my own business. So all of that shaped me into transforming work trauma related to family and process that and having the courage to build my own business and actually being not too bad at it and really enjoying it. And on another hand was this conversational storytelling element that was always present in my childhood, either in kitchens with grandmothers or people pouring their art out or a lot of comics and books.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this. In this life of yours that you give people inspiration, who's been that inspiration for you? Who's been a hero for you in your life?
It's hard to say. I think I have different people inspire me at different times. For example, I have to say I was very connected with my grandfather that owned businesses, right? But at a certain point we fell apart and there was a big distance between us and he passed away. And I never gave him credit, for example, to what we actually has done for us and for our family and the man he was.
Yeah.
And I came to realize that now owning my own business and and sailing this ship by myself and also it's being reconnecting with that person again. For example, it's been very cathartic, like looking back at my late grandfather and understand, oh wow, what he achieved, what he done, what he faced, and how visionary he was. So right now, this has been an inspiration for me. But I think these things change, right? There is not a
Yeah.
unique person that inspire. But right now, that's the phase I'm going through.
So what's your favorite comic book? Who's your favorite character or illustrator? Who is that for you?
Right now, Daniel Cloves, it's Ghost World. What was his last name? The last I actually searched for it because
Sure.
I'm a suck at names.
Yeah.
But Daniel Cloves is one of my Clemens, one of my favorites from all time. Moebius, all this work he does with Yorodowski or did, that is also something that is there. Yeah, so many. But I would say
Yeah.
these two, Daniel Cloves and Moebius, is definitely two ends of different spectrums that I love.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I remember when I was a kid, there was a Spider-Man comic book about a kid that had leukemia, and it was pretty gripping. I remember because I used to collect them when I was a kid. It was a big deal. Um, and I'm still blown away that Hollywood is totally fueled on all of these comic book ideas. It's like the one money maker. It's the one saving grace of the whole industry. I would have never, ever looked into a crystal ball and predicted that.
That's true. It went out of the nerdy world, right? It kind of
Yeah.
burst the bubble into something that like now everybody. I don't like superheroes like I liked when I was a kid. Right now, it's something that I don't connect with. But I'm also surprised how people making collectibles and the posters from people like you were never nerd about anything. Where is this coming from?
Yeah.
So it's very
Right.
interesting how it flipped.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you could meet one person alive on the planet that you find inspirational, who would that be? Who'd you love to meet and talk to?
Many, but I think one of them will be. I know that maybe sounds a bit of a cliche, but I really like the guy. Is Anthony Bourdain, the chef.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's a guy that is since a young age. I was a kid when I started watching these shows. Like, oh man, yeah, I want that. I want to be, just eating bowls of soup in some alley in Bangkok from a plastic chair and traveling the world for that. So it opened me connected with a lot of the food love that I have and traveling. And then later I started to get into his life and into his books. And it's also a guy that was very honest with being an asshole in the past and
Yeah.
making peace with that. So it's very humbling. Also, his own journey. Unfortunately, it ended up the way it ended. It's sad. We all carry our pains, I guess. But definitely, I'm also reading one of his books right now. So I'm very present. When I'm
Yeah.
into something, that's the people I want to meet.
Absolutely. No, he was great. So I'm curious, he was obviously a highly driven individual and did a lot of great work in his life. What is that for you? What is it that gets you out of bed, that helps you get people to a better place and also evolve as a human being? What is all of that for you?
It boils down to do work that matters. I think I spend a lot of my life at work try justifying that the work I did or was doing mattered for the world or mattered for someone. And in insight, it never did, and I think that was part of the frustrations, right? So I think what gets me up in the morning is like that. I know that my work matters, and it doesn't need to matter at a large scale. It matters to the conversation that, for example, I had today in the morning with the person that I'm working with, and tomorrow she's going to get going to an interview to a job that she really wants, and I know she's prepared and That's where she wants to go, and it feels confident. That's how they work. I'm just here as a facilitator, right? Seeing people overcoming their own fears, overcoming their own, blockages, and really finding their way through life, and me being part of that process, it's what gets me up in the morning. Like there is days that you have like 5 sessions in a row, which is, it's pretty heavy on the brain. But at the end of the, I'm energized. Like, okay, people, moved forward, not because of me. I'm just there to facilitate that. They do the work, and I go to bed with a warm heart. That's what gets me out in the morning.
Excellent. So, what has been one of your favorite client success stories so far?
Well, I have a couple, and sometimes they are the most surprising ones, right? So, for example, I was working with somebody that was a very successful solopreneur, right? Had good business, was making quite some money, had pour his heart out in this job. And at a certain point, when we start working, the question was, I don't know if I still want to do this. I don't know where I want to go next. And it's hard. It's hard to face these questions. It's hard to, should I, throw out of the window all the work I did as a solopreneur and the business I built and try to pursue something new. And he was brave enough to face those questions. It's not easy. And in the end, he took a job. He decided, you know what, this is what I need in my life. I need, maybe, yeah, I can take a pay cut, but I can work less hours. I can dedicate more time to the family. My work still matters and I love it. But it's not easy. Like if you tell me now that I need to quit my job and to go somewhere else, or I want, it's hard for me to fathom that. So seeing this is an inspiring story of somebody who really faced their fears and tried to overcome these. That's one, for example.
So, you have to give good advice to your clients to steer them in the right direction. What's the best advice that you've ever gotten?
So just to be clear, as a coach, I give no advice whatsoever. That's not my role.
Okay.
As a coach, my role is to actually help people to give for themselves, to give them their own advice.
Gotcha.
I'm
Okay.
just here to facilitate. But the best advice I was given to me is just, I don't know, believe in yourself. To be fair, it's something that I always struggled, and it's so simple, but
Yeah.
I think and it resumes to this phrase, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody will.
Yeah.
And this phrase resonates still a lot. And this was told me over and over again throughout my life.
Yeah. 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 So, of all of these things that you've done and evolved into in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Professionally, you mean?
It could be a Venn diagram that could go into itself. It could be either or.
I was always resilient, and I have a lot of, is that how you say in English? Tenacity? No,
Oh, tenacity.
tenacities. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
tenacity, because I think that's in insight what it felt like a struggle. I feel very proud of, changing countries, changing careers, never been unemployed, even during the peak of economic crisis, always working in the areas of my choice. You know, it's not something I can hold and say, look, I did this, right? But I'm very proud that throughout of these years, I was always able to do what I wanted to some shape or form. It didn't come easier. It's a lot of fights, a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifices. And I'm proud of that. And I also, because that's what gives me hope for the future, that whatever it comes, yeah, I'll manage it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. 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 For sure. So, let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into this, like an 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've lived, the wisdom you've gained. What advice would you give your young self, and would that version of you listen?
He would listen, but I don't think he would he would really understand it.
Yeah.
But the piece of advice that I would give is like, man, don't waste so much time into negative thinking and preparing for the worst and being, trying to be prepared for any kind of drama, always thinking on the future and ruminating on the past, not being very present. Just really focus on what you have, because the moment that you have now, it will never come back again.
Yeah.
And there is a much better use of your energy, your soul, your emotions, your everything, if you focus on today and making sure that today you take decisions that make your future a better future, instead of always thinking about what the heck the future is going to turn out to be, and I'm ready, and am I ready for this?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So everyone out there has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Ah, you got me off guard there. Other perception I have, I think I'm a hardworking, hyperactive person. I feel still very young at heart. I have multiple passions. I think I'm friendly. I love to be surrounded by people. Not in surrounded by people that, but I like to have my good friends. I like to spend time with them. I like to spend time with my partner and my family. So I'm very, close to my people. I'm hardworking. I work hard, but I try to work smart as well. I Who I am. I don't know, man. I'm just describing my day. It's hard to describing myself, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I'm a very passionate person about life and whatever life can bring to us.
So what do you like the best about living in Berlin?
Definitely not the weather. I think since I was living in a small town, even in a small town, I was in the center of the city. So I always needed noise and chaos a bit around me. So I love that. I love cities that never sleep. I love cities that 24 hours a day, I can get food, I can get a drink, I can meet my friends. I can just go and do. That's something that I love about the city. What I love about the city is that people don't really give a damn.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you dress well or if you don't dress well, you are welcome anyway. Um, it's a city that makes you tough. It's definitely a city that is very proud for being rude with each other just to see if you have tough skin, which
Yeah.
is interesting. But I love this chaos, right? But at the same time, Berlin has one particularity, or at least for me it has, which is you have micro villages inside the right. So me going out of the street and I know the name of the guy that sells me the beer, the lady that sells me the bread. You talk with a couple of neighbors on the way, because I come from a small city. I
Yeah.
need this stuff. My girlfriend hates it, right? Because as soon as we get out of the building, like, hey man, oh how, and it's just like, oh, we cannot.
Yeah.
But but at the same time, if I want to go away and be alone, I can. Yeah, and
Yeah.
nobody knows me, and you are just another one. I love that.
Absolutely. No, that's great, man. I get it. And, Kansas City kind of has that Midwest. I mean, the Midwestern feel is like that. So I totally dig it. So, Ricardo, if anyone wants to reach out, they want to hire you, any of the good business, where can they go?
So I'm very active on LinkedIn and on Instagram, where you can directly communicate with me, sending me a message. I'm still running the show there. There's no person behind. I have a newsletter that I release every second week, where you can see my very proud cartoons that I make use of my arts degree, which I need to and I love. And I do a lot of career storytelling, and I develop a tool for that, which is free. And if people want it, on my website, there is a career storytelling kit where you have a webinar and you have a set of templates and exercises for you to create better career stories, or to present yourself and figure out what you want to do next. But maybe I can share that in the description.
Okay, excellent. This has been wonderful, Ricardo. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your story. Best of luck with
Thank you,
everything.
Joe.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks for
Take care.
having me.
You bet. Yes, sir. Take care.